Welcome back to the channel. We're back with our Final Fantasy Commander deck profile with Y'shtola, Knight's Blessed. For one, a white, a blue, and a black, we had 2/4 with Vigilance. At the beginning of each end step, if the player lost 4 or more life this turn, including yourself, you draw a card. And at the beginning of each end step, not just at the beginning of each of your end steps. And then whenever you cast a non-creature spell with mana value 3 or greater, Y'shtola deals 2 damage to each opponent, and you gain 2 life. So, if we have a way to do that twice, each opponent will be losing that 2 life, losing that 4 life, and not allowing us to draw those 4 cards. So we have plenty of ways to make sure we keep on casting more and more cards, ways to make sure that ability happens again and again, ways to even make sure that we're losing a little bit of life in order to make sure that we can get that ability off when we really just need the draw power. But that's a general overview of the deck. Let's get into it card by card. Starting off with Arcane Signet for some mana, Bolster Citadel. Like I said, we're going to want some ways to make sure we can lose that life in order to get that draw power, but not just draw power. Basically our entire deck is until we hit 2 lands in a row, then we can't do anything. Soul Ring for some additional mana, Talisman of Dominance for some mana, Talisman of Hierarchy for some mana, Talisman of Progress for some mana. The One Ring deals that damage to you, is indestructible, gives you a draw power, gives you everything you really want to see in this deck. Denali, Streetwise Lookout. If an ability would happen for a creature with power 2 or less, which she has power 2, it happens an additional time. Creatures you control power 2 or less can't be blocked with creatures with power 3 or greater, allowing her to swing in if, you just dealt that 2 damage to one person. But if he's on the battlefield, you get to deal 4 damage right away, essentially. Fandaniel, Telorfry Askion, I butchered that name. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, Surveil 1. At the beginning of your next end step, each opponent may sacrifice a non-token creature of their choice. Each opponent who doesn't loses 2 life for each instant sorcery card in your graveyard, potentially dealing them that 4 damage. But you do only get the beginning of your end step once, so you won't be checking for that draw power ability because they would have already basically would have already done the checks. Drahatia, Scion Reborn, getting us some tokens, getting us some more life drain off of ourselves in order to make sure that we get more and more draw power off that. Campbell, Console of Allocation. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, they lose 2 life, we gain 2 life, getting us that life that we lost back, along with, giving that final 2 damage that we need to them. Lotho, Corrupt Sheriff, a little bit of draw power, not draw power, a little bit of extra mana that we're just going to need for some little bit of pushes that we're going to need. Papo Mayo, Tatsu Mayo, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, deal 1 damage to each opponent, gain a life. That's already 3 of the damage that we need. Maybe we could just swing in with them. Maybe no one will mind that extra 1 damage after you've already dealt 3 to them. And he calls a sacrificer. Each opponent who lost life this turn sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures they control, which is going to tend to be all 3 players. Basically a little bit, minor board wipe. Roaming Drone, in order to make sure that each Y'shtola's ability could happen a second time in order to deal the damage to our opponents. Shouldered, whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. Whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. So you just need to cast that 1 spell in order to put them down by 4 to get your draw power to get your 2 life, which you would gain 4 in total. Sig, River Cutthroat, at the beginning of each end step, if an opponent lost 3 life this turn, which you're going to tend to do, which is, your Y'shtola's ability plus Papo Mayo's ability, you get to draw some additional cards. Talion, Kindly Lord, enters the battlefield, choose a number between 1 and 10, either 2 or 3, because that's what people tend to run most of in their deck. And you get to draw a card, deal some damage to our opponent, putting them down by that 4, essentially. Black Market Connections, you're going to pay the 4 life in order to get some abilities off in order to get that draw power, essentially. Bloodchief Ascension, at beginning of end step, if an opponent lost 2 or more life this turn, which they can tend to, put a quest counter on this, and whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, Bloodchief Ascension has 3 or more quest counters on it, and you may have that player lose 2 life. If you do, you gain 2 life, allowing us to get that 4 damage on them even quicker. Curiosity, whenever an enchanted creature deals damage to an opponent, aka Y'shtola deals some damage to an opponent, we get to draw cards. We like to draw cards in this deck. Exquisite Blood, whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. aka we deal 2 damage to each opponent, we gain 6 life off that. And also that just goes infinite with Sanguine Bond that we have in here, which is really good because whenever you gain life, each opponent loses that much life. So that'll be the 4 damage between Y'shtola gaining us, dealing 2 damage, plus this gaining us that when we gain the 2 life off her ability, we deal that additional 2 damage. Necropotence, whenever you discard a card, exile that card from your graveyard, pay 1 life, aka we're going to pay this 4 times, exile top card of your library face down, put that card into your hand at the beginning of your next end step. So, some ways to deal some damage to ourselves in order to get plenty of damage on our opponent. Helm of the Gas Lord. Also, a lot of these are the mana value 3 or higher for you stole as a building. Helm of the Gas Lord. As long as enchanted creature is blue, it gets +1/+1 whenever it deals damage to an opponent, draw a card. And if it's black, whenever this creature deals damage to an opponent, that player discards cards. So we're discarding, making them discard cards, we're drawing cards, we're getting ahead and putting them behind, all on the same card. Ophidian Eye, enchanted creature. When an enchanted creature deals damage to an opponent, draw a card. We like to draw power. Phyrexian Arena, a little bit of damage to ourselves in order to draw some cards, and also draw more cards off of Yashola, essentially. And Sigil of Sleep, enchanted creature deals damage to an opponent, draw some more cards. Like I said, we like drawing cards so we can keep on going with our plays to deal more and more damage to our opponents. For instance, we have Offer You Can't Refuse for a counterspell, Counterspell for a counterspell, Dovin Veto for a counterspell, English Unmaking for some removal, Dark Ritual for some additional mana, Dismember. You pay 4 mana into this with the 2 Phyrexians, and then target creature gets -5/-5 on turn, so you get that removal there. Frantic Search, it's a 3-mana spell that will allow you to untap 3 lands, so you basically cast it for free, but you do get to deal that damage to your opponent, essentially. Generous Gift for some removal, Ink Shield. Prevent all combat damage to be dealt to you this turn. For each 1 damage prevented this way, you get a 2/1 with flying, aka if someone swung you with 8 damage, you get to prevent all 8 of it, get 8 1/1s. Now you have 2 of them to swing at 2 of them to swing at each opponent. Lethal Scheme, Convoke, destroy target creature or planeswalker. Each creature that convoked a spell connives, allowing you some draw power, some +1/+1 counters. Mana Drain for counterspell, some additional mana on top of it. You had to exile for that removal. Render Silent for counterspell, Snuff Out, pay 4 life, get some removal, get that draw power off of each soul's ability. Stroke of Midnight for some removal. Sublime Epiphany, choose 1 or more, counterspell, counter ability, turn target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, create a token that's a copy of target creature control, and then target player draws a card. You can do all of them if you want, if they're all happening at once somehow. Source Splash Shifts for some removal, but it's really just being over 2 mana, 3 mana. Transpose, discard a card, lose a life. Wait, draw a card, discard a card, lose a life, create a thing that would be dealing more and more damage to our opponent, rebound, do it again, make sure you get that every turn, essentially. Not every turn, just the next 2 turns. Undermine, counterspell, target its controller loses 3 life, but they're going to be losing 5 because it's cost 3 mana. Allow us that draw power. Unwind, counter target non-creature spell, untap up to 3 lands, 3 mana for free, essentially. Dealing the damage. Vampire Tutor to get our best card out of our deck, which I'm not entirely certain what would be in this deck. Maybe Shouldered, maybe Roaming Drone. Void Ren for some more removal there for 3 mana. Or maybe 1 Ring would be our best card. I don't know. Bulls to Citadel, Necropotence. We have a few game changers in here too. Circle of Power, draw 2, lose 2. And create a 0/1, I would be dealing more and more damage to our opponents. But that puts us a little bit of damage to ourselves, which we'll just regain because it's a 4 mana. And yeah, cornered by Black Mages, a little bit of removal, a little bit of more pings onto our opponent in order to make sure we can do the thing. Exsanguinate, deal 4 damage to each opponent, gain 12 life yourself. Final Judgment, remove all creatures from the game. Who needs to worry about Indestructible when we just exile them all? Grim Tutor, Imperial Seal for both 2 searches out of our deck in order to get our best cards. Incrinious' Vile Duplication, create a second Yashola in order to make sure we're dealing at 4 damage super easily. Same thing with Quantum Misalignment. Risky Shortcut, draw 2, lose 2 life. Sorry, each player loses 2 life, including yourself. Putting you each opponent down by 4 for that 3 mana. Rival Application, create a whole bunch of Yasholas or a whole bunch of, well, actually no, copy of target creature, so anything other than Yashola because she is legendary. Maybe do Shoulder, maybe do, actually all of our creatures are legendary. I don't know. No, well, Shoulder's also legendary. Create all the Sanguine Bonds and Exclusive Bloods you want. Treasure Cruise for some draw power for, you can just pay 3 mana. Vindicate for some removal, Windfall for some draw power, and Yahenni's Expertise. for your board wipe, essentially. But that's the deck there. I'll just scroll through the lands. If you guys do have a different way that you'd run the deck, make sure you leave that down there in the comment section. Or if you guys liked the video, like it as well. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the day.